Warning.
So I saw The Force Awakens. Yep. Oh, my thoughts. You want to know my thoughts? Well, why? Okay, you know what? Let's start with the good stuff. First of all, oh man, ever since I was younger and I saw the Star Wars movies, I always wanted to be an X-Wing fighter pilot, always. And there were never any girls as X-Wing fighter pilots because reasons. It was really nice to be able to watch the movie and see just a bunch of female extras in the movie. And it was great to have Rey as the main character, where she's definitely I can do things on my own, but not to the point of where it's like a Mary Sue character. It was really nice to see that side of her where there are things that she's very good at, but there are other things that she can't necessarily do on her own, and she needs the help of other people. And so she knows the value of teamwork, not like that I can do it on my own Mary Sue characters. My favorite of the original movies, I really like 6 a lot, which I know is slightly controversial. There are pretty much 2 women in the entire movie. Leia and that one woman from the Rebels who like leads them when they're at their base, and she like says like a few words. I don't even know her name. I don't even know if they ever say her name. So there were only 2 women in that pretty much like entire movie. It was definitely really nice to have that change in this movie where you see women, fighter pilots, doctors, nurses running around doing all these different things, doing all the technical stuff, just to see a lot more women in the background. But not so much where it's like, you know, Themyscira, where it's like women everywhere. There was still like men, and that's fine, and I liked the balance. It was definitely a lot better than I've seen it before, which was really great. Some of the other things that I really enjoyed were all of the Easter eggs or nods to the older movies. You have things like the Millennium Falcon, the weird CGI animal chess stuff that they played in the Millennium Falcon. It was like funny when she was like, oh no, that's like a piece of garbage, and it's like, oh man, no, it's the Millennium Falcon, they always call it garbage, haha, so funny. The Millennium Falcon is very important to me, as are some other things. But we're still in happy mode. Happy mode. Happy things, good things, happy things, good things. Obviously, since this is set to be the first movie of a trilogy, and you only get little pieces of this jigsaw puzzle, so it's kind of hard to tell really now what their real end game is, which is something that I really like, because that way people who are just now watching this are able to experience what other people experienced when they were watching the original ones, where you get one movie and you can't just marathon them. Like, you have to wait forever to find out, you know, what happens next, who's dead, who's still alive. Happy. You're like, oh my gosh, who's the big bad? I don't really know. How are they tied into all of this? But I like having the whole picture. I don't like having to guess. Now, this is much different from Mad Max, which is one of my favorite movies, which leaves a lot of holes gaping wide open, but they're not plot important. You can fill them in however you want, figure out whatever you want. It doesn't matter. It's what it is. With these films, and with this movie in particular, it's more like there's a very specific way that it works, and it has to work that way in order to work with the world, and we don't have all the pieces to put that puzzle together yet, and it's kind of like, oh my gosh, I just want to watch all 3 of them so I can just boom, puzzle, done. Oh my god, it's a Death Star. I like that, but it's also a little bit frustrating, but that's what makes people go to the next movie. So there definitely were a lot of really good things that I liked to this movie. There were some choices that were made that I myself would not have made. I hope that some of the mysteries that are left over from this movie are solved as we go forward in this series. I really hope that most of these questions get answered and the puzzle pieces start to fall into place like they did with the other movies, because oh my goodness, no one could have ever predicted that Palpatine was the Emperor. what? Darth Sidious? What? What? Definitely no one saw that coming. Absolutely nobody. One of the things that I really appreciated was the fact that J.J. Abrams actually decided to film this movie on actual legitimate film to give it that original Star Wars feel, that look, instead of trying to recreate it. He just went for it and was like, nah, we're gonna film it on film. That really paid off. The effects that they chose to do, most of the time, there were a few places where the CGI kind of stuck out like a sore thumb, which was a little bit infuriating and kind of took me out of the movie a little bit. But for the most part, all of the special effects were like straight out of the original movies. Stormtrooper gets hit, dust flies up in his face, and he goes, "Oh!" Yeah, I was actually disappointed with the lack of Wilhelm screams in this movie. I thought I heard one, and then it turned out it really wasn't, and I was just trying so hard to have it be that I projected onto that screaming stormtrooper. I know that's like nitpicky, but I had really wished that there'd been a little bit more of that thrown in there, just because the rest of the movie, while still being a very emotional and dark and dramatic movie, it still had those little campy effects from the old Star Wars, and I think it just would have been a nice little nod along with all the rest if a Wilhelm scream at least once had been added into the movie. But hey, maybe I missed it. Was there one and did I miss it? I really hope not, but if so, leave it in the comments below where it was. That would be chill. Thanks. Other things that I really liked about this movie, the acting. Amazing. The girl who played Rey, and I cannot for the life of me remember her name. I was gonna look it up. I can't remember. I saw it at the end of the credits. I'm just bad with names, okay? I'm just really bad with names. The girl who played Rey was stunning, and I don't just mean beautiful, but she was very pretty. Her acting was pretty epic. One of the jobs as an actor is to make it seem like your job doesn't exist. And I feel like she did a pretty good job of that, and I was never taken out of the movie by her acting. Finn, I liked his character for a bunch of reasons. One of the reasons is, obviously, yes, let's get some diversity in there. Thank you. I mean, obviously we had a little bit of that in the old ones with what's his butt face. I told you I was bad with names, don't hate me. Carlsbad. Lancelot Carlsbad. With Lando Calrissian. It was just nice to see. I liked it. It was cool. Have I been out of focus this entire time? Because that would be really sad. It was really cool to have Finn as a window into the stormtroopers. There were a few issues I had with this character, but I'll get into those afterwards. Basically, what I really liked about it was at first everyone was like, what? Why is he black? I heard it from so many people. The way that they went about it in the movie and was like talking about how they take these children basically from birth and then raise them as these stormtroopers. So it's pretty much like a giant slave army. I don't know how you want to say it, but anyway, they're like conditioned and brainwashed to like do all this stuff. It was sort of like a wake-up call for me to kind of be like, oh yeah, hey, stormtroopers are actually human beings and they're not just clones and battle fodder. I really liked his character in general. I thought he was funny. He had a few comic relief lines that were like hilarious. It was definitely nice that he wasn't just labeled as comic relief, because I cannot stand when people do that in movies and when people just don't contribute at all except for that one-off witty line every time the hero says or does something. I can't stand that. That was definitely nice. I enjoyed that about his character, but a lot of the stuff about his character didn't make sense at all. Again, I don't know if they're going to explain this more fully in the next movie, but as it stands, it does not make any sense whatsoever that he would have changed sides. Because if you are conditioned from birth to do something, I don't care if it's slaughter children or strangle puppies or kill your grandma. I don't care what it is or how horrible it is, you are gonna do that thing. How he went from having no previous, because they state in the movie that he had no previous disciplinary whatevers and he'd never done anything of this sort before. That was a sentence. And then he just switches so completely onto the other side where he's willing to do anything. I felt like that happened too quickly There wasn't really a precedent for it. Obviously, slaughtering a village full of innocent people and then watching your, I guess, friend, I don't know, die in front of your eyes isn't exactly pleasant by any means, but his switch just seemed a little bit too drastic for me. I don't know. What about you? Tell me what you thought down below in the comments. I'm gonna be asking you guys that a lot, so whatever. A few of the things that Finn says as comic relief, like the whole thing where Han's kind of like nodding like, oh, look behind you, and he's like, what? What are you doing? I don't understand why you're doing this. That's exactly 100% what he sounded like. That's totally how it went down in the movie. He's a stormtrooper. He's a soldier. He would absolutely 100% know what that little head nod means. Everybody knows what that means, and I know it was like, ah, funny, oh my gosh, look, he's such an idiot, sort of a thing, and it was funny, and I giggled, but it still doesn't make a lot of sense, and I know that's nitpicky, but that is what I do, and that's my opinion. Oh yeah, that's a totally different focus. Oh crap. I'm filming in a basement with freaking fluorescent lights and nothing else, so I ain't gonna look that good anyways, so y'all can bear with it till I get back and I can get my lights. Now, there are a few other people I do want to talk about as far as characters go in this movie, and one of them is Kylo Ren. Before, in my other video that was talking about this before I saw the movie, I talked a little bit about how awesome the name Kylo Ren is. And here's the thing with a name that's that cool, you gotta make sure you live up to it, because if you name yourself something epic and then you don't do jack, it's gonna make you look stupid, and that's kinda how I feel about Kylo Ren. I was all geared up for him to be this totally epic, surpasses Darth Vader, and blows them out of the water with his coolness. I was expecting something like that, and I got a psychic, which in its own right is kinda cool, I guess, sort of. But it's not even like a, I like touch my finger to your forehead and I can read your entire mind. It's like, no, I'm gonna struggle a lot and I can detect kind of what you're feeling. He's basically like an overhyped mood ring. I don't know what else he really does in this movie except do one of the worst things in film history. Why not? You know what? I can't stop thinking about it. I'm gonna talk about it right now. I don't care. It's kind of gone all wibbly wobbly. There's no good and bad anymore. It's just opinions just everywhere. If you have seen this movie, you know exactly what I am talking about. Now, besides the obvious reasons of, oh my god, why can you not? And other emotional statements, I actually have a problem with it plot-wise. Plot-wise, it doesn't make sense. I cannot stand it when a movie kills off a character simply for shock factor. I can't stand it. It's one of my biggest pet peeves ever. I will go on record saying that. I can't stand it. I think it's lazy writing. I think it's mean to the fans. I just think it's disrespectful. Just overall not a cool thing to do. Not a fan of the fact that my favorite character in the entire Star Wars franchise, and to be fair, pretty much the reason why I have watched it over many times, when he walked on that bridge, I knew one of them was gonna die and the other one was gonna live, possibly. Maybe they were both gonna die, I don't know. But then the second they started getting up close and he took out that lightsaber, I knew. You should have seen me. Tears already in my eyes. I was leaning forward like this going, no, please, 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 no, please don't, please don't, please don't. Please don't, please don't, please, no, 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 no. But seeming how they filmed this a really long time ago, surprisingly, Kylo Ren did not listen to my pleas of agony and did it anyways. So really, really not a fan of that. And it's kind of ironic because if you watched my video that came out before this, you would have seen me gushing about how much I love Harrison Ford and all of his acting, and especially as Han Solo and how much his character really means to me and all that kind of stuff, and how him and Leia are like life goals, and then this movie cruelly ripped away both of those. And not really a fan of that at all. Also, again, it wasn't even like a plot device. It wasn't even like his death sparked some rolling movement that wouldn't have happened if he hadn't died. Those deaths I get. I understand them. I might not like them, but I understand them. There was a reason for that. But unnecessary deaths? No, you don't get to do that. I did not sign a paper saying that you could do anything to my favorite character. I was not consulted in this, and that ticks me off. I don't care if you never would have thought of it. You should have thought of it. And I was not given a say, and I don't appreciate that at all. So there. Now, some people are like, there was a plot reason for it. It's because Chewie and the others wouldn't have fought as hard if he had still been alive. Bull. They definitely would have. And I know that for a fact, because I know it, and don't question me. You're questioning me. Stop it. Stop. So yeah, I wasn't a fan of that. Also, I'm assuming they're going to be explaining what the fallout was between Leia and Han. I know it has something to do with Kylo Ren and them thinking they were bad parents or something. I don't know. The movie wasn't really too clear about that fact. I know for sure they're gonna go into more detail about why the heck Luke left and what the deal was with this new Jedi school and what in the even heck is going on. I trust that they will explain it all. Whether or not I'm happy with the reasons, I will at least have an explanation. I would also really appreciate it if something were to come of this sacrifice of my very favorite character in relatively pretty much any franchise ever. If something good will come of his sacrifice, something, anything, just something. If it means something happens with Leia or whatever, something. And I know people are like, there's already a reason. It's because Kylo Ren needs to go more towards the dark side. And here's my beef. If he was okay with killing his dad in the first place, he's too far gone. You can't get it back. He's down the dark side, okay? You can't get him back. So that was kind of my beef with the movie. I had, little nitpicky things to say, so on and so forth. Now, don't get me wrong. There were some things I did not like about this movie, but there were some really good things about this movie. Overall, it was an amazing experience. Just the ability to see a Star Wars film in the theaters was, in and of itself, one of the coolest things that I've ever experienced. It was pretty awesome. From the first deafening, booming note of the theme, straight down to the crappy looking word art text crawl. It was kind of surreal. Like, I was like, oh my gosh. Let's just put it this way. If I didn't know any better that I was watching a movie that had just come out from the beginning and I didn't know the title or whatever, I would have thought it was one of the old ones. That's how similar it was. I will say, at the beginning, there was a little bit too much J.J. Abrams. Again, don't get me wrong. Love J.J. Abrams. Loved what he did with Star Trek, and I know that's an unpopular opinion. I don't even care. I thought it was chill. I also liked how he was able to kind of work in his own personal lens flares all over this movie while still being able to keep it relatively old school. That kind of stuff. The very beginning part with the stormtroopers in the carrier thing, and it was flashing all over the place, and I'm pretty sure they jumped the line 4 times, and I was really confused and I didn't know what was going on, and I was like, this doesn't feel like Star Wars. What happened? And then it was over, and that was pretty much the only bit, and so I was kind of like, yeah, okay, whatever. Also, I kind of expected to see Mark Hamill, and this is gonna sound kind of bad, but I forgot how ugly he was. And again, his acting is not as bad as Anakin's was, so we'll just take a minute and thank the Lord above for that. what I thought of my experience was that as a movie, it was pretty awesome. The plot was relatively easy to follow. The characters, again, pretty simple. There weren't too many main characters being shoved in your face. I kind of accidentally actually forgot about Poe for the middle half of the movie, like completely. Was I the only one who did that? I kind of like just completely forgot about him. Oops. I just kind of feel like we didn't really have enough time to really connect with him as a person in the beginning, and then at the end it was just kind of like, oh yeah, he's there. So hopefully we get a little bit more of his character as the series go on. That would be really cool because I really want to get to know Poe. What kind of a name is Poe? It's like Poe Dameron? Poe Dameron? Come on. You got Kylo Ren, and then you have Poe Dameron. Like, how much more peasant can a name get than Poe Dameron? Anyways, regardless of his name, I'd love some backstory on him. That'd be really cool. Now that I've had a chance to kind of get over at least a little bit, I don't think I'll ever fully be over the trauma, but now that I've been able to kind of take a step back, explain to you more of my thoughts on this subject and the movie as a whole rather than the one traumatic event, I can say that it was a movie that I actually thoroughly enjoyed. It was a fun experience. It meant a lot to me. So before you make a video, always remember to empty all of your SD cards, not just the one, especially if you know you're gonna be going on a freaking hour-long rant about Star Wars. Little tip for you there. The fact that all of the things that happened in the movie really hit me very hard emotionally meant that it was a very engaging movie, which meant that I was able to connect to the characters and the plot and everything that was going on, which means a non-sarcastic, non-snarky round of applause, because that is not an easy thing to do. I would rather walk out of the movie theater bawling my eyes out than walk out of the movie theater and go, eh. Because at least if you're crying, you know that the movie meant something to you. So those were my opinions on the new Star Wars movie, as condensed as I could possibly get them, even though this video is probably already about an hour long at this point in time. So sorry about that. Thanks for sticking with me. And if you didn't, you're not watching this, so I don't have to say hi. If you agreed with me, disagreed with me, have answers to any of the questions that I posed in this video, because there were a bunch of them, go ahead and leave them in the comments below. I will read them, respond to most of them. This comment zone is a spoiler zone. Go ahead, leave spoilers below. I've seen the movie. You've probably seen the movie. Leave spoilers. I don't care. So thanks for sticking with me through this pretty freaking long video filled with opinions of mine that you probably don't even agree with. But thanks for sticking with me anyway. If you like this video and you want to see more of what I make, go ahead and click Oscar the Owl. He's down there. He's also here. Woo! You don't have to click on this guy. You can click on the one below to answer the important question of whether or not I will see this movie again. No, I will not, because I am not a sadist and I will not put myself through that torture a second time. Will I see the next movie? Yeah, of course I'm gonna see the next movie. I'm not an idiot. Gosh. So insulting. Jeez. Wow!